September 16th, 2020. That's a day we're never going to forget. Big day for the Big Ten and for the Ohio State Buckeyes. The football season has been reinstated, and Ohio State will play football this fall after about a month of wondering if that was actually going to happen. Glad to have you with us on Buckeyes Now. I'm Brendan Gulick along with Adam Prescott, and just sharing some of our thoughts and reaction to what is absolutely a landmark day, and frankly, maybe even more of a crazy day than it was on August 11th when they canceled everything, or I should say postponed everything. We're back on track. Adam, it was certainly a day full of celebration, a day full of joy on social media, maybe for the first time in a month.
Yeah.
And nice to finally be able to take a deep breath and know we've got some football coming.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, man, we're going to be telling our kids and our grandkids about this in 20, 30, 40 years. I'm not sure we'll ever see something like this again. Buckeye coach Ryan Day made a similar comment, this afternoon. This is a unusual and crazy time in the world, and certainly in the world of college football. Just when you think the Big Ten football season is dead, it comes back, and seems like the Buckeyes and every other school in the Big Ten is going to still be able to be on pace to, possibly be included in the college football playoff, which is what the ultimate goal was, I think. Obviously, to give these kids an experience that they see many of their peers around the country having. And so many twists and turns, not even by the day, by the hour, by the half hour. It's just been a crazy time, and this is just the next twist that we get to see.
One of the things I think is most interesting about this entire thing is, frankly, what we still don't know, the schedule, but we know the format of the schedule. This whole idea of an 8+1, where you play 8 regular season games, and then everybody in both divisions sort of gets aligned, and then you play a crossover game, so you'll have a conference championship, but one plays 1, 2 plays 2, so on and so forth. So I suppose it subcontext, right? We're going to determine a conference champion the same day we're going to definitively determine who's the worst team in the conference. But
I guess so.
That really should be a fun day, and I think there's so much to unpack with all of that. But to know that you're guaranteed, 9 games, or at least if the health and safety protocols work the way they're designed, to have a 9-game schedule, it's a heck of a lot better than what I think some people were expecting. As they considered what football could look like this fall. There's still plenty of unknowns, but not bad.
Yeah, they always say beggars can't be choosers. And, not only, everyone on the Ohio State side of things, but across the Big Ten has been fighting, just for the opportunity. And now that they've gotten the opportunity, you certainly don't want to take it for granted. But I don't think the Big Ten's left themselves a bunch of wiggle room here. I don't want to be overly negative, but starting the 24th and not giving yourself that bye week in case something happens, 9 straight weeks right into the conference championship game, a 21-day isolation period if you test positive. There's going to be, a percentage threshold, more than one person on your team starts testing positive. There's certainly some obstacles that they're going to have to entail or endure here. Not that, that they can't handle it, but it's a little easier said than done right now. I think we're going to learn a lot over the next few months. Hold on to your seats, man.
I've been trying to stew on that whole 21-day thing for a while. Mm-hmm. And the best sense that I can make out of it, teams are allowed to start rapid daily testing whenever they want, but they have to do it starting September 30th. So my thought was, okay, maybe that's why the season would start the weekend of the 24th. If someone tests positive on, day 1 of rapid testing on September 30th, that would give that person a chance to get healthy and get reacclimated. It's from some of the things I've read, it sounds like, look, 14 days is kind of the CDC guideline for, quarantining, but then the additional 7 days was to be able to give that person an extra week worth of time to get their feet underneath them, get back and ready to go, and get acclimated again with practice. So it is a long, man. If you're out for 21 days, to me that almost does more as a deterrent to try and make sure that these guys are doing what they're supposed to be doing. Because if they don't, they're missing a huge chunk of the season. There's not a lot of time to recover from that.
No, not only for themselves. Yeah, I just think, you heard Ryan Day allude to it today a little bit in his media session that they're probably going to have to play more players than they've ever played in the depth chart. We're going to see a lot of teams' depth and second and third string, and I don't even know if it was going to be first string or second string. It might just be healthy and not healthy, or COVID and not COVID at a certain point if there's a flare-up. That sounds crazy to say, but we're in unusual times here. And I think, it's exciting from a Buckeye standpoint. You have such a loaded incoming class, and not sure how every other Big Ten team feels across the league in terms of their depth or where they're at. But I think these coaches are going to have to be prepared to play quite a few more guys than maybe they're used to, both from getting them ready to play, some veterans may not need as much time to get ready as other, younger players that need to, learn the playbook and get more hits under their belt. Just a weird time. Wyatt Davis is back in. We'll see what Shaun Wade does. Who knows what other standouts across the league like Micah Parsons or Rashad Bateman might do. We said so many twists and turns. That's the excitement of sports. I always say sports always wins because it's a theater like none other. And certainly getting our best taste of that now.
I saw PJ Fleck, the coach at Minnesota. I saw him on Big Ten Network earlier, and Dave Rebzine was asking him about Rashad Bateman and basically saying, hey, he opted out a little while ago, but do you have a conversation with him to try to convince him to come back?
Reel him back in.
And PJ Fleck was laughing. He's like, man, I'm a recruiter at heart. He was my first text. And he said, Bateman texted me back and goes, are you sure? I'm like, really? There's going to be a lot to be decided, man. I think there's still a lot of unknowns, but this whole idea of opting out or opting in, at the end of the day, like if you put something on Twitter, that's literally all it is. It's just like it's a paper transaction, if you want to borrow a term from another sport. As long as they haven't signed with an agent and started accepting money professionally to lose their amateur status, you can opt out and opt in as many times as you want publicly. So I would expect that it's not going to be an obstacle for someone like Shaun Wade if he chooses to come back.
I wouldn't think so. He sounded a little funny today during his ESPN interview. They asked him if he had an agent, and he said he has someone, but he hasn't signed anything yet. And maybe the question just took him off guard. Obviously, it'd be a new process to him if times were normal, let alone in times like this where, who knows, in terms of eligibility or who's going to be considered what year and opting in and opting out. Just unprecedented times. But at the end of the day, Buckeyes have the opportunity to play football. And I'm telling you this, I got a piece coming out here in the next couple of days. I would not pick against them. They've been locked in a cage the last month. And one of the perennial powerhouses in college football has now just kicked that door right back open, and they're not happy, man.
And isn't it appropriate that Coach Day has seemingly made every correct move this whole time, right? Before the postponement was public and forthcoming and saying, hey, if we need to pull back, let's pull back a little bit, but don't bang the season. And then when the season was postponed and it looked like maybe, that it wasn't going to be just delayed a couple of weeks, he was pretty vocal and said, look, we're going to fight for our players. He talked about how emotional the day was, but he said as much in his press conference with us that next day. He said, I took my 24-hour rule and had a day to pout about it and be upset. And the next day got back to work to figure out how to best, fight for the team.
And I think I think he's made every right move. I've been super impressed with him. And he referenced that, when the season was canceled, that they're going to take a day and then move on. And he referenced the same thing today, only in the opposite, fashion, that we're going to take a day to be excited about this and celebrate it. But then tomorrow we're getting back to work. And I couldn't be more impressed with the message that he's provided his players and the support that he's just, provided as the primary voice of that program. I'm telling you, sports is a tool unlike any other. It teaches you so much about yourself and so much about handling adversity, working in real life situations, and what these kids have had to experience, the last couple months, is going to teach them so much about, adversity later in life, and teaching their own kids about overcoming obstacles and fighting for what you believe in. And, I can't imagine that the culture in Ohio State's program is any better than it is right now. Players seeing how much the coaches have gone to bat for them and the administration and just sticking together, when the future might have been uncertain. It's got to be a pretty powerful atmosphere moving forward.
No doubt about it. And just to kind of put a bow on it, you talk about how impressed you were with Coach Day. The thing that stood out to me was the alignment of their vision from Dr. Johnson, the president, who's, by the way, what an opening month to be, the president of a new university.
That's leadership right there.
Yeah, and then through Gene Smith and through all the folks in the athletic department and through the coaching staff, everybody felt the whole time like they were pulling the rope in the same direction. And typically when that doesn't happen, somewhere along the way, there's a little slip up where you can kind of tell that maybe there's some clashing of viewpoints. And I thought Gene Smith was pretty poignant today in the press conference when he said, look, not to be braggadocious, but we feel that if everybody in the league handles things the next several months the way we've been handling and will continue to handle them, Ohio State is under the impression that they have set the bar off the field the way they've set it on the field. And for good reason. They've done a really, really good job with a handle on all this stuff. So it's just been really impressive to me that the way they have all pulled the rope together in the same direction. It has not been obnoxious, but it's been, forthcoming in their push, their fight for wanting to have a season and playing it safely. Mm-hmm. And now they get their chance, and all of us are happy about it because we get to actually cover some football.
Exactly. I think there's a built-in accountability. Last thing I'll add is that when you fight so hard for something, you make all these, points and these arguments. Justin Fields is on Good Morning America and the We Want to Play movement. Well, now you get to play. So now you got to back it up. And, you're saying you're willing to jump through this hoop and make sacrifices. Now's your time to prove that and finish this thing off the right way.
No doubt about it. It's fun to watch how far they've come. And now it's about going onto the field and hoping that the team that has incredible upside lives up to the expectations they've set for themselves. All right, we're grateful that you joined us and look forward to sharing more thoughts with you again soon. Of course, everything you need to know on Ohio State football and basketball in particular, and certainly all things Ohio State sports, it's right here on Buckeyes Now.